So, off the grid. Ever since the announcement that Crypto would be receiving this little upgrade called Off the Grid, and receiving a few buffs, there's been only one question on my mind being, is it really gonna be that good? And yes, absolutely, it really is that good. Crypto has finally, after what seems like forever, cemented his place in the meta with some new changes to his kit. Since the release of Season 22, professional teams around the world have been preparing for the ALG as Salan in Mannheim, with him holding a very high pick rate in scrim lobbies for the upcoming tournament.
There's an invisible wall right here? Do you see this? Wait, there's a guy right here!
I would say there's never been a better time to pick up Crypto, and he is well worth learning, being one of the highest skill ceiling characters in the game with a very unique playstyle, and also just in general being a very good legend right now. For those of you who don't know me, hi, I'm Phisheyy. I'm a former Crypto one-trick turned competitive video game wizard with over 24,000 kills on Crypto. You may know I made another guide back around a year ago for fun, and it kinda blew up. But since it's been a while, I decided I should release an updated version to give you all the knowledge you need to become a true iPad kid like myself. Well, I'm not going to take up much of your time, and without further ado, let's jump right in. In Apex Legends, each character has 3 abilities that they have: a passive, a tactical, and an ultimate. However, Crypto, on the other hand, has only one, because someone at Respawn found their 8-in-1 shampoo and conditioner and motor oil and thought we can make a character out of this. This little guy right here is Hack, Crypto's wonderful little drone and companion. While Big Respawn may say Crypto has a passive, tactical, and ultimate, all of them are tied to Hack. While it may not seem like it, Hack is actually able to do a lot. He can open loot pills, care packages, doors, and even the vaults on World's Edge if you have a key card. He's not able to open the new mythic bins though. Crypto is also able to use Hack to grab dead teammates' respawn banners and respawn them at a respawn beacon. Hack can also interact with survey beacons and use them to gain evo and information. This is actually one of the reasons why Crypto is so good right now. Hack also scans enemies that are in a 30-meter radius for your team. Yes, this is technically Crypto's passive. Hack is also not able to interact with evo caches for reasons. You could either tap or hold the tactical button, and it does different things. By tapping your tactical button, you send Hack about 25 meters in whatever direction you're looking at. You may have noticed that Crypto has the same crosshair thing that Pathfinder has. If this green ring is lit up, it means Hack will hit a wall and turn around to face the other direction. This is very useful if you want to set up Hack quickly to scan choke or angle. If the ring is not lit up, Hack will just float in midair. You could tap while Hack is out to enter drone mode. In drone mode, Crypto is completely idle and you could fly Hack around. You could hold right click, or whatever controller equivalent, to change your flight mode, which you don't often use. Hack has a HUD showing its health, remaining range, and its remaining meters to the target, which is whatever you're looking at. Your guns will also reload automatically while in drone mode. Hack can be piloted up to 200 meters away from Crypto, but be deployed up to 240 meters away from him. If you go further than 240 meters away, Hack gets recalled automatically. The recall takes about 3 seconds to do, and Hack is vulnerable while recalling. However, once recalled, Hack will be back with you, and its health will automatically be restored. Hack has a 30-second cooldown and 50 HP, and it will only go into cooldown if it's destroyed. Another major thing to note is that when Hack is deployed, Crypto can see squads in range on champion banners, both in and out of drone mode now. This range is a 200-meter radius around Crypto, where his drone can be piloted. Crypto also calls out the number of squads in range when Hack is either deployed or Crypto enters drone mode. Using the drone can be a bit complicated, and we're going to talk a bit more about it later. But some basic tips are that you could use Hack in order to watch an angle for you, whether it be a flank, or just to throw it out there before a fight for information. One important thing is to not overly tunnel vision on using the drone when you're rotating. Of course, droning on your rotate to hit a beacon or something is perfectly fine, and gives you more information. You should be droning when you want to gather information, or to position it for good scans. I'm usually droning if I'm trying to scout for teams, and we are held up in a building or holding a spot. I'll also drone quickly if I want to put my drone in a spot to scan for enemies in a fight, or just to keep it moving while I EMP. Of course, in fights, it's not good to be on the drone for too long, but drone placement could separate a good Crypto from a bad one. Remember that Hack also scans through glass, so keep that in mind. Crypto's biggest strength as a character is that he's able to gather more information than nearly any other legend, but in turn, this takes him a good amount of time to do. The drone could also be disruptive to enemies, and they may try to prioritize shooting the drone. Just make sure that you're assessing the risks, and that if your drone is destroyed, you'll be able to use it when you need to for an EMP or something. Speaking of EMP, Crypto's ultimate is his EMP, which is one of, if not the best, fighting tools in the game. EMP has a 3-minute long cooldown, and it comes in the form of a 30-meter radius around Hack. It has a 3-second cast time, deals 50 damage to enemy shields, stuns them, slows them, and destroys a lot of enemy utility, as well as going through walls. Also yes, it does deal damage to yourself, but not your teammates. However, it will slow them. EMP can destroy inactive caustic traps, as well as deal damage to active ones, destroy all of Watson's utility, Rampart's Am's cover, as well as make Sheila unusable for a bit, Catalyst Goop, Gibby's Bubble, Lifeline's Drone, Mirage's Decoys, and enemy Crypto's Drone, Newcastle's Mobile Shield, as well as disable the electricity on his ult, Loba's ult, Seer's ult, Conduit's ult, and Horizon's ult. It also takes down Revenant's overshield during his ult. EMP also does 100 damage to Octane's Jump Pad and alters Void Nexus. EMP also disables Tridents, which I find interesting. And no, EMP doesn't destroy friendly traps. EMP is a very good ult for fighting, as I said earlier, as it can give you the upper hand in a fight with the click of a button. I'll usually use it when we have a slight advantage over a team to help secure it, or if we just need to have a quick clean fight and get something out of the way. I also use it to slow teams down from pushing and help us get reset if we're at disadvantage. Usually trying to pop a shield battery during the EMP so it can come back to the fight at full health. It's also a good tool to use if your teammate gets knocked, slowing down the enemy's push and giving you time to restabilize. If you want to get a good EMP off, it's important to keep your drone moving while you EMP so that enemies won't be able to destroy it, or to set up your drone in an area where it won't be destroyed by enemies before you EMP, and if you do this, you should do it quickly. You could also move Hack upwards to choke the radius of your EMP if you're close to an enemy team and don't want to hit yourself or your teammates. Another thing to note is that if an enemy is scanned, they are within radius of your EMP. EMP is a very, very good ultimate, so I would always recommend carrying around 1 to 2 ult excels. It's an incredible piece of utility and it's wonderful to have. Now that we're done with his ultimate, let's talk about Crypto's passive. I mean, I didn't talk about the fact that the scan is a 240-degree radius around the drone camera. Here's this diagram that I illustrated to show this. The blue ring is where the drone could scan, but other than that, there's nothing much for me to talk about, so let's move on to the perks. In case you haven't played Apex Legends in like a year or something, perks, or upgrades, are something cool added to Apex during Season 20 along with the new Evo system. Each time you upgrade your armor, you're given the option to pick between 2 upgrades, except for when you upgrade to red armor. Respawn have consistently been changing cryptos about every season, and hopefully they'll stay the way they are now. For your level 2 perk, you want to ideally pick off the grid. I can't believe it, dude. After like 3 years, Respawn added something like this to the game. Like, I'm gonna freak out, dude. I'm gonna lose it. Anyway, off the grid allows you to drone more without the risk of being shot due to you being, well,
I'm going off the grid too.
Off the grid. You don't become invisible immediately, but it's still a very useful perk. While invisible, you are not detected by crypto drones, Vantage Eyes, or even Fusel. However, Bloodhound Scan will still catch you, and Seer's Tactical will detect you and push you out of drone mode. Seer can also see you on his heartbeat sensor while you're invisible, so be careful. Team Falcon's analyst, Privacy, recently made a showcase showing everything that could take crypto out of invisibility as well, so I'll just link it in the description. Network expansion is okay, I guess. It's just kind of a larger EMP and scan, so, pick off the grid. For your level 3 perk, both options are pretty good and have their ups and downs. However, in a competitive setting, I would recommend Satellite Imagery because of how crypto is usually played in competitive Apex, him being played with a very passive playstyle usually. With Satellite Imagery, enemies are scanned after they are EMP'd for 4 seconds, which is longer than the stun. This gives your teammates, and you, if you're directly in the fight, tons of information to help secure your initial knock, and this information is just very useful in general. However, I would say the objectively more fun perk is Hackathon, allowing crypto to play a lot more aggressively, and especially after EMP, which doesn't work as well in competitive Apex. The speed boost and cooldown reduction allow you to get involved quickly after an EMP, but you're gonna have to make it the lack of information with some really good drone placement, and even then, you're not gonna have as much information as you will with Satellite Imagery most of the time. I'd say that Satellite Imagery is just the better perk overall, but I still really like Hackathon. Now, taking a step back from the elephant in the room and focusing back on our little friend Hack again, there's a lot more you could do with him than meets the eye. The first thing is something that I get asked about a lot, and that's healing in drone mode. Yes, you could still do it. If it ever gets removed for some reason, I'll make a video where I start crying vehemently because of the high skill ceiling or whatnot. You could heal in drone mode by holding the tactical button, then right around this part of the animation, input a healing item. You have free control of the drone while you're healing, and this can often be useful to distract enemies and stall for time during your reset. A good time to use it though is to pop a battery when you're going to EMP, as it'll let you get back to full HP before your enemies, if you get hit by your own ult, or you're just down on HP while you EMP. This tech is even better when combined with off the grid, because you could heal while fully invisible. Kinda crazy, right? Previously, this was banned in competitive settings, but when I was editing this video, I've heard that it has actually been legalized in ALGS. So, get to learning it, I guess. You are also able to charge weapons like the Sentinel and Rampage in drone mode by pressing whatever button it is to do that while you're flying your drone. Just make sure you're holding that gun out before you enter drone mode. Another thing I like to do is something that I've called birdwatching in my initial guide, which is basically tossing the drone out and then punishing the opponent by swinging them as they shoot your drone. This could basically just lead to a free kill on an inattentive opponent because hack is extremely loud and obnoxious. On the topic of throwing hack around in fights, ideally, you want to throw your drone upward at around a 45-degree angle. This way, your enemies are going to have to look up to shoot at your drone, putting them in a vulnerable position. If they do, you might be able to get a free swing off on them as they try to destroy it, hence birdwatching. One final thing I kind of touched up earlier is using your drone to watch angles for you in a fight. If you're in a 1v2, you could set the drone behind you or to watch another angle while you take a 1v1, so you know where the enemy is coming from. Very cool, kind of useful. Anyway, Crypto's one of those characters who works very well with a team around him. So, who works well around him, and who does he play well against? So, about a season ago, I was working on the initial part of this guide, and then Apex's newest cheese comp got completely invalidated due to it being kinda overpowered. Rest in peace, Crypto Alter comp. You will never be forgotten by us Turbo Enters. I prepared a 3-paragraph speech about these two, and Respawn took that away from me. Let us hold a brief moment of silence, and then discuss who's actually really good with Crypto at the moment. In my opinion, the best characters Crypto synergizes with historically, as well as their current interactions with him, are Wattson, Valkyrie, Catalyst, and Wraith, with some honorable mentions I'll discuss later. Crypto is a legend that is mainly played in team comps that benefit from playing a zone-heavy playstyle, as Crypto himself has been one of these characters, even though he's run more flexibly now. Crypto Wattson Valk is historically one of the most prevalent zone comps, as Wattson provides great utility for playing zone with her fences and generator, and Valkyrie provides decent entry utility and good rotational utility with her ultimate, capitalizing off of Crypto's ability to gather macro-level information very well with his drone. However, Valkyrie isn't run as much anymore as she was back in the day, and Bangalore makes a great replacement for her, with evac towers especially. Crypto also provides fighting utility in the form of EMP, which is very useful for teams who are looking to siege a position. Wattson is also Crypto's best fighting matchup, but I'll talk more about that in a bit. I think Catalyst is one of Crypto's best synergies as well, primarily because of how she meshes on certain teams. Teams that often find more aggressive playstyles may opt to run a Catalyst Bang Crypto comp, instead of one with Wattson due to Catalyst having the power to play as an assassin using her wall. She also provides amazing defensive utility with her doors and goops still, at least in competitive, and is more viable due to Fuse being a bit less prevalent, but we'll talk more about him later. She plays both well with a Crypto on your team, as well as against Crypto teams. Wraith plays well with Crypto similarly to how Alter was played with Crypto when the synergy worked out. Wraith is able to use her portal for entry utility during an EMP push. This allows her to instantly phase the EMP and enter into the fight without being stunned, letting her get her team into the fight with Portal and instantly capitalize off the EMP. Right now though, Wraith just isn't that good. Portal is a decent piece of rotational utility, but Bangalore gets the job done better with hers. I know an older FaZe Clan roster used to run Crypto, Wraith, Wattson a bit, but you'll never really see this comp run in modern times. Some honorable mentions that I didn't bring up earlier are Mad Maggie and now Fuse as well. You could also say Bang, but Bang works well with everybody. Maggie was ran in some Crypto comps back in the day as a niche pick, such as Maggie Wraith Crypto from Meat Lovers back in around Season 12, but I think this was putting all your eggs in one basket, and not very good unless you want to focus all of your utility on aggression. I believe Fuse to be somewhat of a natural evolution of this comp, and at the time of the video's release, we could see teams such as Team Falcons and Alliance running this composition. Fuse also has access to ring consoles with his blue perk, which Maggie has never had access to, giving this composition even more viability and flexibility. Crypto plays well against characters with defensive utility and traps, as I mentioned earlier. Wattson works really well with Crypto, but she is also countered by Crypto very heavily, as all of her utility can be destroyed with one EMP. This is why you often see Crypto played in competitive play whenever Wattson is meta. When it comes to other legends though, I think Gibraltar and Seer are also countered well by Crypto. Crypto's able to EMP Gibraltar's bubble, which can set a Gibby team in a very poor position, since they'll usually be using their utility to reset. Seer is another character that Crypto team should take note of, and while he could silence you with his skin, EMPing his ultimate gives a Crypto team a massive advantage in a fight versus a Seer team, shutting down their primary form of information. If you're able to bait his ultimate, you get a near guarantee fight win. Characters like Caustic and Rampart are also mostly in Crypto's favor, but Caustic is able to activate his gas traps to keep them active during Crypto's EMP, and only the top part of Rampart's walls are destroyed by Crypto's EMP. When it comes to characters that counter Crypto, I don't think he has any hard counters as does, say, Wattson, but there are two who enter my mind who counter him well in the meta at the time of this video's release, being Catalyst and Newcastle. Catalyst is, in my opinion, Crypto's least favorable matchup versus any of the controller legends, as only her spikes are destroyed by Crypto's EMP, which he could quickly put back up. Her reinforced doors are not damaged at all by EMP, which allows her to keep most of her strength. Her utility is better countered by other legends such as Fuse, Maggie, and Rampart. Newcastle's utility is damaged and destroyed by EMP, but he's still a good pick into teams running Crypto as he could keep his castle wall up after EMP, as well as his mobile shield being quick to place down. His mobile shield is also often used later in a fight than, say, Gibby Bubble or Seer ult. He slows down Crypto teams' pushes and denies them EMP's entry potential, as does Catalyst. This is a reason why you may see some teams in the current meta running one or even both of these legends. What's even more interesting, as I mentioned earlier, is how Fuse is sometimes played on teams with Crypto to accompany his weakness into these two legends, allowing for more offensive potential against them while sacrificing their own defensive utility. Now, there's one final thing that I gotta touch up on. This next section of the video is something I actually forgot to cover in my first guide, which is about Crypto's playstyle, mainly in competitive play, but this can be applied to ranked and the like. Players on a team will often take up one of three roles for simplicity's sake: an entry player, who goes in a fight first, a refrag, who takes momentum off of the entry's initial push, and a support player, self-explanatory. Crypto is a very supportive legend who is played most often as a support or an anchor, someone who usually holds the team's position and gathers information. Your job as an anchor is to feed your team information, hold space, and usually play behind the others on your team. Of course, this is a very simple explanation, and your playstyle will vary depending on the scenario, but Crypto's absolutely a character for those who enjoy playing a more supportive role, or you're forced onto him. Crypto is also a great pick for IGLs with a more supportive playstyle as opposed to an entry IGL on someone such as Bangalore. If you're not IGLing, your job is to gather information on teams to feed to your IGL so that they can make a decision, whether that be through survey beacons or just utilizing your drone. If you are IGLing, then do the same thing, but you make the choice off the info. For example, on the team that I'm on, my IGL plays Bangalore while I play a more supportive Crypto. In comp, you'll be on your drone a lot, which some people may find boring, so just be prepared. It takes a lot more discipline than people think to be on your iPad, and not be poking when you don't need to be. EMP, as I mentioned earlier, is an amazing piece of fighting utility to help your teammates enter in fights as you support. EMP helps to create opportunities for your teammates to capitalize on. What I also didn't mention earlier is that if you're in a very good position and don't need to fight or rotate, Crypto could use EMP to help farm his Evo. On Crypto, I'll usually be running a weapon combination such as a Sentinel, Hemlock, or Nemesis for my primary, and something like a Mastiff, Havoc, or Car for my secondary. Akimbo P2020s or Mozambiques, especially with hammer points, also work especially well, since ideally your enemies are going to be on lower HP and you'll have an ideal weapon to clean up with. Also, they're just really good right now. Since the survey beacon changes in Season 22, Crypto and his drone have become extremely valuable to have on a team, and are a source of consistent information since you're encouraged to hit more survey beacons per game due to the smaller reveal radius that they now have. You ideally want to hit the survey beacons to gather the most amount of information possible. Early game, this is usually done by hitting the beacon late when I'm rotating out of my POI, And later into the game, this is grabbing a survey beacon when I'm looking up for a position to rotate to, for example. Crypto makes achieving this information easier, and utilizing survey beacons is an integral part to playing him in the current competitive environment. While I've kept it a bit simple for, well, simplicity's sake, I hope that this discussion of his role and playstyle in a competitive setting can help you get the ball rolling on him, especially if you're planning to play competitively or do play competitively. Well, that should hopefully be about all, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments or in my Discord server, link is in the description. I had a wonderful time working on this, and I wanted to give you guys a little thank you for watching. If you want to see more of me, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and even check out my Twitter. I also stream on Twitch pretty often. I usually stream my competitive games, as well as ranked and other variety games. I'll hopefully be making a second channel sometime soon to put stream content up, so be on the lookout for that. To my longtime viewers who don't keep up with my other socials, I'm sorry I kinda disappeared for around a year. My life has changed a lot, and I spent a lot of time discovering who I am as a person, as well as going to university. I'm excited to make more videos about the things I love, though. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Have a great day.